the WWE, and for our Twitter account at Jonathan Clarke1 and Cheap Shots with Jonathan Clarke, our column that actually makes fun of some issues both in professional wrestling and entertainment. I posted the video in several blogs and in a tweet on our Twitter at Jonathan Clarke1. The video only runs for about a minute and a half. Matt Striker asks Eve Torres about the aftermath of losing the Divas Championship, then she quits the business. Obviously, it was just with a lack of, understanding of Eve Torres' character. That's why WWE took this approach. Usually you see divas that have achieved a lot in their professional wrestling career having, a send-off that's very emotional. And I think that Eve Torres was really deserving of having an emotional send-off because of how much she accomplished in such a short time in the WWE. 5 to 6 years she had a run with the company, and she accomplished perhaps more than any diva on the current roster, both past and present. And I think that she was really deserving of a Trish Stratus type send-off where a little of emotion went behind it. Not the way that they let her go by just having her do about a minute and a half interview that was recorded for the purpose of WWE.com and used for a couple of WWE rerun moments on WWE programming. I think that she was really deserving of having a send-off that was really emotional, where she loses the championship. The diva who takes the championship from her goes on to benefit, and she goes out of WWE on a positive note. By the way they released her in this video, which you can see for Cheap Shots with Jonathan Clarke and on our Twitter at Jonathan Clarke1, it doesn't seem like WWE are going to have much use for Eve Torres several years from now. I doubt we're going to see her have a second run with the company, and that's very frustrating because, coming from me, I think Eve Torres was a great talent. She was one of the best divas that was in that Diva Search competition in 2007. She was one of the most talented. Her Diva Search videos can be found all over YouTube, how she dominated in several of the competitions. She was really a shoo-in to win the competition, and then she goes on to dominate as a singles competitor in the Divas division. Her matches with Beth Phoenix really puts into perspective how great of a talent she was. She really was a Trish Stratus type diva who was really fitting the mold of a Trish Stratus, in my opinion. She was really, really skilled, and it's beyond me why WWE went as far as to release her. And the Divas division is really suffering from a lot of blows these days. We see the Bella Twins, Melina, Maurice, Karma recently being released, now Eve Torres along with Kelly and Eve were a great team. I enjoyed seeing their feud in addition to some tag team work they got in there on both Raw and SmackDown when Kelly was the Divas Champion. Really frustrated over how Kelly was over-promoted as the Divas Champion, and Eve Torres was kind of just in her corner playing a managerial role, if anything. And with managers being so lackluster in the business now, with Paul Heyman being the advisor of the WWE Champion CM Punk, and the managers really being a 1980s type thing that's really died out, having Eve Torres in the corner of Eve as it is having Paul Heyman in the corner of CM Punk is really unbeneficial to the talents that you could be utilizing to their fullest potential. You could be doing more with Eve. You could have had Eve turn on Kelly and feud over the Divas Championship, as opposed to having Eve's heel turn come later after Kelly had lost the championship several months prior to WrestleMania. That was kind of stupid. They could have done so much with Eve's heel turn, and they could still be doing a lot with her heel turn. It almost defeated the purpose of even turning Eve Torres heel. If you were going to keep Eve Torres for an additional 2 or 3 years, the heel turn that she made in 2011 would have made completely more sense. Or 2012, I'm sorry. In 2012, it would have made completely more sense if you would have had Eve Torres turn heel if she was going to remain with the company 2 or 3 years. We didn't get enough time to see Eve Torres as a heel character. It was her first heel run, and I think that WWE could have done so much with her character, be it that it was her first heel turn. I love when divas turn heel. I don't know about you and other radio shows and columnists, but I love when a diva turns heel. I love what they're doing with AJ's character. Some of the things that they're doing with AJ's character right now, I really don't agree with. I tweeted some videos of AJ, and I tweeted the video of AJ kissing Dolph Ziggler on the 2012 Slammy Awards show because I found that very pathetic, how they were promoting AJ as a heel and Dolph Ziggler as a future WWE or World Champion, which is pretty much a guarantee. I think that having AJ as kind of a manager or a valet for Dolph Ziggler, if anything, it's only trying to restore a bit of credibility to managers in the wrestling business, which we're a long way away from seeing. The closest thing we're going to get to credibility being restored is the greatest managers of the 1980s DVD. I think that it's really killing Dolph Ziggler's momentum, where he's eventually being built up to win the WWE, and I'm going to say World Championship in an event like WrestleMania, becoming the first ever Money in the Bank briefcase holder to cash it in at WrestleMania. That would be history in the making if he cashed it in on the world champion who represents SmackDown in the SmackDown WrestleMania main event, becoming the first MITB holder to cash in at WrestleMania and make history. That would be a moment that would be relived in the WWE vault for many years to come. But with AJ by his side consistently, it really takes away the momentum of both the AJ and Dolph Ziggler characters. You could be doing so much with AJ in the Divas division, especially with how many Divas have been released, from Melina to Maurice to the Bella Twins, and here recently Eve and Kelly Kelly. I mean, the WWE Divas division have been suffering from blow after blow after blow. We are seeing the inevitable death of the Divas division occurring right before our very eyes, and WWE aren't doing anything with some of their most skilled Divas. Recently, on the all-new NXT Redemption on WWE.com, they had a Divas Battle Royal, so I think it's WWE's desperate attempt to try to showcase what's left of the Divas division, and it's beyond me why, with how many incredible talents we are seeing on the all-new NXT, which is much-watched web show material on WWE.com, we haven't seen some of these Divas get call-ups to Raw or SmackDown. They are very deserving of being on Raw and SmackDown, especially Audrey and Paige, who have wrestled each other on NXT. They have also been involved in consistent storylines with both female and male talents, and along with the other Divas, the Divas division on NXT is really where good quality women's wrestling can be seen. So I want to highly recommend the all-new NXT Redemption on WWE.com for fans who are crying out for women's wrestling, which has really been lackluster on Raw and SmackDown. I'm not enjoying what they're doing with the Divas division right now. As much as I wanted Caitlyn to win the Divas Championship about a year ago, now seeing the talents that she's not going to be able to work with released from WWE, it really takes away my interest that I once had in Caitlyn being the Divas Champion. The only thing we could eventually see is Caitlyn versus AJ for the Divas Championship, a revivement of the feud they had on SmackDown, which was very little detailed, and I think that was because neither of them were Divas Champion. If Caitlyn contains the Divas Championship for the next few months, we could see a feud between these two for the Divas Championship. That's really the only thing I'm looking forward to. But with Kelly Kelly, with Eve and the Bellas, and Melina Maurice no longer with the company, it takes away from potential feuds, as someone like Caitlyn could have, to benefit her in the long run with WWE. There are so many negative things that have arisen from a couple of things that have happened in the Divas division, like the release of Eve Torres and Caitlyn winning the Divas Championship. All these releases are not going to benefit the WWE Divas division. That is the point that needs to be made here. None of these releases are going to benefit them. The only thing that's going to benefit is either the independents or some other wrestling promotion outside of the WWE. Now, I've been tweeting videos of AJ and Eve, kind of in a bit of a pitiful frame of mind, if anything, for the Divas division. I'm trying to relive the years of when the Divas division was actually good and worth watching. And there was a time, ladies and gentlemen, now I've said this a lot for In This Corner with Jonathan Clarke and a lot of the columns that I have archived on my website, that I actually watched Raw and SmackDown primarily for the Divas division. I don't so much watch Raw and SmackDown anymore primarily for the Divas division. I watch it for maybe one or two storylines. Usually I pick up watching it more than I do throughout the entire year, a couple of weeks before WrestleMania, just to get caught up on the feuds and what's going to be happening, get a feel for the plot of WrestleMania. And when the Divas division was at an all-time high with talent and was at its most unpredictable state, that was when I was watching professional wrestling on a consistent basis, because I wanted to know what the feuds were, who was the Divas champion, and who were probably the top 3 or 4 contenders jockeying for position for a championship shot. That's what I wanted to see. But now, with so many talents being released, not many creative storylines being thrown our way, I really lost interest that I once time had an all-time high for the Divas division. Very frustrating times, and I've often commented on that for In This Corner with Jonathan Clarke. The lack of managers in the wrestling business and the lack of talent in the Divas division are two crucial issues in the professional wrestling business, which are a long way away from being corrected, and I doubt we'll ever see a point of correction reached. And that is the unfortunate thing. Right now you have AJ, one of the most skilled divas of the New Talent Initiative in the way of divas, being utilized as an outside-of-the-ring performer, as a valet or a manager, call her what you want, to Dolph Ziggler. She is not benefiting herself or Dolph Ziggler. It's kind of a lose-and-lose situation for both Ziggler and AJ. Very, very frustrating seeing what they're doing with them. And you have Caitlyn, a great female wrestler. She has the power, and she really is the full package. If anything, she will fit the mold of a top diva in years to come. She's not quite at the level of a Lita or a Trish Stratus. She still has a long way to go, but with the lack of talent that have been released in the WWE, I think that you're taking away from beneficiary feuds that could have benefited Caitlyn. We're not going to see her feud with Melina. We're not going to see her feud with one of the Bella Twins. We're not going to see her feud with Maurice. We're not even going to see her feud with Karma, a woman who came in at one point and decimated the entire Divas division back in 2011, almost 2 years ago. I think that those Divas could have benefited Caitlyn, and now we're just going to see Caitlyn feud with Divas that are not going to benefit her at all. And if anything, it's just going to be a way of putting over Caitlyn in a very unbeneficiary way. I'll give Caitlyn's reign as Divas champion 2 to 3 months tops. It will not be a 6 or 8 month reign as Divas champion for Caitlyn because of a lack of creativity right now in the WWE Divas division. If creativity picks up, maybe I'll give Caitlyn a 6 month reign as a Divas champion, but I'll see it when I see it. I'll believe it more than I do now, because I really don't think that a Divas championship run for Caitlyn is going to work right now, and it's being done and put off at the wrong time. If anything, it's being done because of a lack of talent in the WWE Divas division, and that's really the only number one explanation that I can throw your way. Now, if you've been keeping up with us on Twitter, I'm kind of trying to relive the best years of the Divas division. You see a lot of Divas tweets from matches in the past and both present time. I recently just tweeted a couple of videos from the all-new NXT, one of my all-time favorite Divas matches to ever take place on a edition of NXT Redemption, the all-new NXT on WWE.com, Aja Marie versus Paige. I've also tweeted a lot of AJ videos when AJ was really coming into her own element in professional wrestling. Her match with Layla, when Layla was the Divas champion, was an incredible match on SmackDown. Never forget how that match kicked off. Daniel Bryan came out halfway through the match, costing AJ the match, resulting in Layla picking up the win. If anything, seeing that match with AJ and Layla showed me what AJ can do inside of the ring as opposed to outside of it, and that really convinced me that AJ needs to be in the ring more. The wrongest thing that you're doing right now with AJ's character is keeping her out of the wrestling ring, and you really need to be putting her in more often. She needs to be, coming in with a bit of consistency, and she's kind of not. So that's really one of the biggest issues in the Divas division. Divas who should be performing at a consistent time frame are not. They are performing outside of the ring more, which is really, really wrong. And I want to see, more feuds for Caitlyn that are going to benefit her. I want to see her inaugural Divas Championship run, if anything, be a memorable one. And I think we're a long way away from seeing that. Now, a lot of the Divas, a good thing about the internet is the internet provides you the opportunity to relieve a lot of frustration. The good thing about the releases of the Divas, they are now opening up on the internet about their releases. Melina and the Bella Twins recently have conducted interviews where they have elaborated on